A lot of people online say Grand Seiko does too many limited editions. What are your opinions as someone who enjoys Grand Seiko?
Well, someone who's spent probably too much money on Grand Seiko, I think they probably just make too many watches.
Do you think it's taboo to collect a unit watch if you were not part of that unit?
I see both sides of the argument. I don't know that it's taboo to collect them. I just probably wouldn't feel comfortable wearing one out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special collector video with you. His name is Jack. I'm really happy we finally got to sit down, finally go over your watch collection. So I saw that you brought like over 20 different watches today, but before we get into that, how would you describe yourself?
So my name is Jack. I'm a portfolio manager at a hedge fund. I cover biotech and pharma stocks. I would describe myself as a serial collector. So I've always loved collecting things. My dad got me into collecting things because he has several collections in the house that I grew up in. So for example, he collects toy soldiers, die-cast toy vehicles, things like that from the 30s through 60s. And he got me into a few of my first collections. One of them is pocket knives. Another one is tobacco pipes. And watches is my most recent obsession. I've been collecting watches for about 2 to 3 years now. I've always loved military history and kind of got into watches through the Watches of Espionage lens of, spy stuff and military gear and unit watches, and got really into it through that. So that's sort of where I started. And also just because I love it when a craftsman can take something that is utilitarian, a watch is used to tell time, but take it up to the level of it's the highest form of its craft. A lot of the things I collect are sort of like that. I may not be able to describe how the mechanism works. I definitely can't, but appreciation of how these things work and just being able to look at them. And, when you're working at a desk all day, you can't really appreciate a car collection or things like that, but you can appreciate what's on your wrist.
Wow, that was a great history into Jack. So let's talk first about the watch that's on your wrist.
Sure. So this is a older reference, Rolex GMT Master II. This is a watch that I wear almost every day. I love this watch because it's simple. The lume is good. It's a GMT, so if I travel for work, cross country, or to go home to see family in LA like I do frequently, I can just quickly change the hour to a new time zone. It's just simple, great, everyday piece, and I appreciate it.
Alrighty. I see you already have a watch in your hand that you're like ready to talk about, so let's just jump right in.
So this is a Breguet, the Breguet Classique. I don't know the exact reference number, but it has the power reserve indicator and also the flyback second hand. This was actually my first big watch purchase. The story is I was an intern at the current fund that I still work at. I had been saving up for a long time. I actually wanted to get a motorcycle, but after moving to New York City, realized that was probably not a great idea and that I, should choose life. So maybe someday, but I decided I'm going to take the money that I spent and get something that I'm going to appreciate every day because I'm wearing it to work. And so that was this watch. It's funky, it's unique. I like that the hour markers are offset from the center. It's just, and the guilloche on it. And I really learned a lot about the brand and the history behind Breguet too before getting it. And that was my first big entry into watch collecting.
This is so beautiful, so classic, so classique, as
so
Breguet
classique
would say. This has like that classique design language, like the coin edge, elongated lugs, Breguet hands, and then Roman numerals. So this was like your first watch that you saved up for. Like, why this? How come not another brand like AP, Patek, Vacheron? Why Breguet?
Cost definitely played somewhat into that.
Okay.
Getting this was actually much more economical than getting into, for example, like an AP Royal Oak or a watch like that. I liked that I could go into a dealer and just buy it after trying it on. I didn't have to go through the rigmarole of like trying to buy a Rolex at retail. There's just something so unique about this piece. Even now, there's not really anything else in my collection that's really like it, other than I have one other Breguet here. I love the coin fluting on the case, on the side, the hands, as you mentioned, the guilloche, everything about it, it's a great day watch, but it's also pretty elegant and can wear it to pretty much any event where I'd have to have a suit on or something like that. So it just works.
This is really stunning. And obviously the condition is still really great. So it must mean that you take great care of your watches.
This is the Breguet Marine. What I love about this watch is obviously it has the Breguet hands, the Breguet numerals, and the coin fluting. It also it has this guilloche design on the front that when the light hits it, it looks like if you're looking out at the ocean and you see the light hitting the waves.
Oh.
And I fell in love with that. This piece was actually something that my uncle, he passed away last year, but he loved this watch specifically. Like he loved the marine dials. And one of my nicest memories with him was like putting this on his wrist and showing him that I'd gotten this. So this definitely is a special one to me. And I don't wear it that often. I mean, especially it's funky, right? With the rubber strap, a nautical theme buckle and everything. But any trips to the West Coast, that'll be in my wrist a decent amount.
Well, first, sorry to hear about your uncle, but that is a beautiful memory to have with him and bond over with watches too. This one's beautiful. This is white gold. as well, right? Yeah. So you got a little bit of that heft, but it's actually still kind of lightweight, I guess, because it's not on a bracelet. It's just on the rubber straps.
I saw your video on this drive to Cartier Moon and thought I have to have a drive. I'll admit, I've never set the Moonphase. I just kind of like the way it looks in the center with the full thing visible.
Perfect symmetry.
Yes,
right?
always, no matter what day of the month it is. I think Cartier does some of the nicest faces in the business, and the way the numerals look, the guilloche on the front, everything about this is like very elegant. It's also really big. I think it's one of the biggest watches that I have, but I can still, because it's so thin, I can wear this under a suit for some event at night and it'll be fine. But yeah, there's just something about this piece, the pillowcase design, it's very unique.
So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the Drive Moonphase, which I have in my collection as well. I think it came out in like 2017 or 2018, so it's still a modern collection. But interestingly enough, Drive Day Cartier has already been discontinued. And I think it's because it is a little bit of a larger shape that people, you know, when they think of Cartier, they usually think of the more like, you know, slip under the cuff, a little bit more smaller sizes. This is not huge by any like modern standard. It's a 40 millimeter, but for a 40 millimeter dress watch, when you say that and you think of Cartier, you don't really think those two things go together. They had other Drive Day Cartier watches in their collection. I think the Moonphase is the best one. That's why I have that one. Yeah. But strangely enough, I don't wear mine that much. Also, I got it pretty early on when it first came out. And then later when I like discovered the Cartier Santos medium, I'm like, oh, I really like watches in that size. And then I kind of stuck with that.
I think it looks bigger than it is. Like the Speedmaster on your wrist, that looks bigger than the Moonwatch to me, because it's the white face.
Yeah, that's true too.
This is an Omega. I just love it because it's this interesting sector dial.
Yeah.
It's very geometric. It's just something so symmetrical about the face. It's really nice to look at. Most of what I buy, I just like looking at it. But yeah, this watch, I got it online. I think it's discontinued at this point, which makes it also a little more interesting to me. It's hard to get. I didn't know it existed, so just saw it and thought, wow, that's a really cool piece. I like the way that silvery white dial looks with the blue hands against it. Just a really nice secondary second hand and really nice piece.
I think the reference on this is the Omega CK859. Kind of looks like a earlier Seamaster, and they kind of like recreated it.
Yeah, I think the other thing about this is the movement on the back. I really like looking, because it's a manual wind.
Yeah.
So I really like looking at that.
I feel like it's a good thing, and also something I wish Omega didn't discontinue, because I think it's so beautiful. Like out of their dress watch, a lot of people think of the DeVille or the Constellation, but when they make like specialty pieces like this that have that vintage connection, but then they put in the master chronometer movement, it's manual winding, and then they use an actual silver dial, which they even write on there. Like, I think this is really cool, and I wish Omega continued doing stuff like this. Last year they did like the Paris 2024 Olympic, and they did a gold version of this.
That's right.
But like this one, I still, every once in a while I get people asking about this watch. Every time I see it, I feel like, oh man, that's one of the best Omegas. And you gotta love that vintage Omega logo. Like, there's just something about it that just, I don't know, it just feels right.
And then, Derek, you're familiar with this one because you sold it to me. It's the limited edition Planet Ocean from Omega. I did always want to get a Seamaster, but I think it's a little bit big. Is it 42? It's 42 and I think 50 lug to lug, which is decent size. That's probably about the biggest watch I could wear. This one, for some reason, even though it's a little chunky, it wears smaller. I really like the lume, because the lume is green. So the green on the blue looks really interesting. I like the way they do the sunburst blue on this. So yeah, I think this is the nicest looking of the divers from Omega, and it was cool that it was a limited edition.
So this is the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean in summer blue. Omega made like different versions of the summer blue that year. This was like 2023. Some of them are still around, like, because, you know, not all of them has sold out right away. Like the Ultra Deep, you know, most people are going to go for this, or the Seamaster 300 or the Diver 300. But like you said, like Omega doesn't do that many watches sub 40. This just hits the cusp at 39.5 millimeters. But then the trade-off is it is a little bit chunkier, but like when it's on the wrist, it actually fits a little bit better than expected, even with the added thickness. Part of that added thickness is because this watch is 600 meter water resistant. As part of the Planet Ocean line, it's got to like have the full professional diving capability,
which should be sufficient for my needs. I think 600 meters will do it
for desk diving.
Yeah, for desk diving,
even just like jumping in a pool. Yeah, you're gonna be more than covered.
I was really excited to get this because I did have to splurge on it because it's impossible to get this retail, I think, or at least very difficult. But
no, it is pretty much impossible.
The silver Snoopy.
Yeah.
Everything about this, getting it with the case, the strap, everything about it tells a different piece of that history. I think it's really cool. I love watching the little like Snoopy in the rocket when you use the chronograph feature.
So this is the Omega Speedmaster Snoopy 50th anniversary of the Apollo 13 mission. So it was a spacecraft mission that was like an accident that turned into a success because they were able to bring back the astronauts successfully. And the story goes that they had a Speedmaster on their wrist and they were able to time the burn of their re-entry into the Earth. This is something that Omega tells us and wants us to reshare with everyone. So I better make sure I know the story. And so Snoopy has ties with NASA, and that's why they do like the special edition with Snoopy and NASA. I feel like the special thing about the Snoopy is that it comes on so few watches. There's only 3 that's been made so far in Omega Speedmasters. There was an original, like a black dial with the Snoopy on it. There was Silver Snoopy 2, which was white and black. That one I think is probably the most sought after out of the 3 so far. That one has like the comic strips on the side where it says like, what would you do in 14 seconds? Calling back to the 14-second burn. And then this is technically Silver Snoopy 3, which has blue and white. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a Silver Snoopy Speedmaster?
And the rocket on the back is so cool. Watching the rocket go across the back of the watch. So this piece, it's another sort of one-off because I only have one from this brand, but it's the Ulysse Nardin Michelangelo. If you had to pick one watch that like a villain would wear, this would be the watch. This could be like a Bond villain watch to me. I think it's so unique. The numerals are so ostentatious. I like the red font on the face, but yeah, that's the Michelangelo. It's also a watch I've never seen in someone wearing.
This is my first time actually seeing this. Ulysse Nardin Michelangelo, you said.
Yeah.
So this one has a big date. So that means the date window have 2 separate discs up at the 1 o'clock. I'm sure there's a reason for that, and it probably ties into the Michelangelo theme. That would be my guess. The numerals have like this gothic kind of script to it.
I think I've worn this to a couple weddings. I don't know that I've ever worn this like to work or during the day. It's more an evening piece.
So villainous at a wedding.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, so I like this one. Might be time to break out the Grand Seikos.
Let's do it. We moved into another section of watches. This time, these are all Grand Seikos. Obviously, I am a lover of Grand Seiko myself, so I want to hear about some of the stories about why you like these watches. So
sure.
Choose any of them.
The only Grand Seiko I'd heard of when I started was the Snowflake, and I love the Snowflake, so that's this one here. There's something about watching that spring drive secondhand just gently like glide over the face. It's so cool, and I like that they made several mechanisms. The high beat and the spring drive are 2 completely novel mechanisms, so I liked that. I also like this is a brand where you can just go into the boutique or go into your store and buy them, but I love the natural dials that Grand Seiko does, and reading about, oh, this one is supposed to look like powdered snow, and this one is supposed to look like a glacier, like ice, and this one's supposed to look like spring over a mountain, and this one's the cherry blossom, and so on. Eventually it'd be cool to go to Japan and just point at different things and get to say, oh, that's like this Grand Seiko or this Grand Seiko.
You know, till today, I think that the Grand Seiko Snowflake is the best example from Grand Seiko of using like the imagery. Because it came out before the Shunbun, like the cherry blossom, I think that it holds a special place in my heart. Like the first time I heard about Grand Seiko, and then they talked about the lightweight titanium being like the snowflake, and then the snowflake dial, and then you have that gliding seconds hand is supposed to resemble like the motion of like the falling snowflake. When you put all 3 of those together, you can like really see the imagery. We've all seen snow, you know, as being in New York.
Yeah.
But like you can really imagine like
It's usually not that pure white.
Yeah, it's never this pure white, especially in the city, but like you can imagine like in the mountainous regions of Nagano where Japanese Grand Seiko craftsmen are assembling their watches, this is probably what they're seeing outside their window. Did you hear there's like a running joke where like the Grand Seiko craftsmen are not allowed to leave the factory, so they just keep making watches based on things they see out the window?
Yeah, like, oh, that would be cool to see someday. It'd be cool to leave and get to see the powdered snow and like the grass growing on the mountain, and yeah. So this white birch I also got from you, Derek, and I think this piece, I think this is my favorite Grand Seiko, and the reason is, of all the pieces that look like something I've seen in person, like I've seen, you know, birch trees, obviously, this looks like birch bark. I also like that you can hear the mechanism when you wind it, that clicking, and I like that it's manual, so you can see the whole mechanism on the back and the power reserve, and just very clean. And this is a high beat. It's kind of fun to just like put your watch up to your ear and listen to it, and the amount of revolutions it's going, you can tell it's different than a typical watch.
There's been several white birches from Grand Seiko, but now this one is the manual winding version in the Evolution 9 case. Let's hear the clicking on this real quick, because I also did a fun video with this where you can see the wagtail clicking, pecking on the movement here, so I just want to hear. It almost sounds like bezel turning.
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, I like it. I like that you can hear it, and there's not a great rhyme or reason to this collection other than I love their natural dials. This isn't a nature dial, but It is one of the limited references they've done, and I think I had to pick it up because of the sort of reference to like knife making, and I'm obviously I'm a knife collector. So this is the Katana. I don't really have a lot of red, and the red and the gold power reserve indicator, this is neat. I don't wear it a ton just because I'm scared to get a scratch on it. This is one of the few I really don't want to get a scratch on this because I don't know how I could ever really replace this. I say that and I see a scratch on the bracelet.
Well, the bracelet you shouldn't worry about because at worst case, you can get the bracelet polished if you really wanted to keep it in pristine condition. And then at secondary worst case, you could replace the bracelet. I would be more concerned about like the case itself.
Good point.
But like the bracelet, I wouldn't really worry about. You should wear it. But yeah, this was like part of a trio of Grand Seikos that were part of the Katana series. There were 3 of them. There was like a green one, a gray one, and then there was the red one. The red one was a limited edition version. Grand Seiko does tend to do a lot of limited editions. I want to ask you a question. A lot of people online say Grand Seiko does too many limited editions. What are your opinions as someone who enjoys Grand Seiko and their watches?
Well, someone who's spent probably too much money on Grand Seiko, I think they probably just make too many watches. But no, I don't know that they do too many limited editions because to me, they're never such that like I absolutely cannot get one if I, really wanted one. I don't feel that it cheapens what they're doing. They're usually out with another watch that's not as limited. So for example, I ended up getting the watch that recently came out I think it's coming out with the UFA, and I think it's platinum.
Yeah, the platinum version.
Yeah.
The platinum is a limited one.
Right. Yeah. So I like that they give you the option. Like, hey, you can go a little bit overboard with something like this, or you can get something that's like more attainable and that you'd feel more comfortable wearing every day, and you don't have to go limited.
That's a good point. This one is the Shunbun, but it's a smaller one, 38mm size, titanium case. I'm just going to throw out little details about it. What drew you to this watch?
I like that it looks like the Shunbun with pink cherry blossom, but it's green.
Yeah.
So I think of it as, okay, this is a spring watch, and I have the other watch. I know that's also spring, but it feels like you'd wear it more in the fall because it's a little bit like more red. I don't think I have a green watch other than this one.
Oh,
or any green tint, so that's why I wanted this one.
I will say, I love the 38mm size on this.
The sizing is great. A lot of the cases from Grand Seiko are surprisingly chunky. This one fits really well, as is this one, which is the Glacier. I definitely got this one from you as well. So this one...
I forget it, because sometimes when there's a new Grand Seiko, Jack will text me and be like, what do you think? And I'm like...
Yeah. And there's 2 of them.
What do I think? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 of these as well. There's the bigger size, the smaller one. This is the smaller one.
This one's nice. This is a 37mm. So again, like sub 39mm, there's not really any spring drives, except now there's a new UFA. Things like this is what I would be drawn to. Things like the SBGW is like what I'd be drawn to. Yeah, again, love the size. Dial is beautiful. That little ice blue texture on it. I think we got like 2 more.
Yeah, the Shunbun. I don't really have a ton that I can say more about this versus the green one, except this is definitely the only pink watch that I have, or like pinkish hue watch that I have. And I can't tell if I would prefer no date window on this, just to keep the symmetry of the dial. But again, goes with that nature theme, and I like the color.
Tell me about this one here, this blue one.
This one was another limited that I wear a lot of blue like to work, so I felt that this would first of all go really well, and I could wear this every day. It's just the texture on the dial and the way that every different point the light hits it, it has a different color. That's what drew me to this. You definitely showed this off in a video that captured my attention. So again, influenced. I blame you for a large part of this Grand Seiko collection.
I think for the Grand Seiko, I can definitely probably take some credit here.
Yeah.
But this one was, I believe, a limited edition that came out last summer in 2024. It was like Grand Seiko's USA limited edition. They came out with this blue one, and they came out with the red one, and they had this Kirazuri texture. This is like the new Kirazuri. But in a different shade. So this is like more of like a blue-gray, and then it had a red-ish salmon pink version as well. Very nice.
So this was actually my first Rolex purchase, the GMT Master II Coke. I don't wear this as much as the black bezel GMT because I'm more worried about scratching this because it's aluminum bezel, so you can actually scratch this one unlike the ceramic. I don't want to say it was an impulse purchase because I really knew I wanted to have a Rolex, just appreciation for the company and the history and the movement and everything. And I think this one, I like it better than the Pepsi. Nothing wrong with the Pepsi, but for me, I like the red and black. I like that it's discontinued. I like that the numbers on the bezel are narrower versus the kind of more
like the modern
the
Pepsi.
more blocky script used currently. And I like the red GMT hand versus the green. All of those drew me to like, okay, I can get like used but barely used a Rolex for not too much over what I'd have to pay retail. That's what I ended up doing. I wore this like on Memorial Day or for like the 4th of July. So more special occasions, but I really like this GMT and it's useful. Like I actually do use the GMT feature, although I'm almost 100% certain it's not set correctly right now.
This is beautiful. Every year when I go to Watches and Wonders, people always predict that Rolex is going to bring back the Coke GMT Master II. I kind of secretly hope to see it come back too, and I think maybe this coming year might be the year. But yeah, this is also one. If like I had to choose a GMT Master II, I really like this one. I also like the new Bruce Wayne that they came out with, like the black with the gray.
Black and gray.
With the green.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, really subtle. I like just like the gray on it too. It creates that just enough contrast. Man, this is so beautiful. Is this a watch you actually like travel with?
Yeah, I've traveled with this one. I mean, I definitely travel with the black GMT, but I have traveled with this one before I got that one and a few other Rolexes. Like I have the Explorer. Hopefully, eventually, maybe have a Daytona, but not yet.
Yeah.
It's a harder one.
I could definitely see you adding a Daytona later on.
Yeah.
When did you get this one?
I got this one probably late 2021.
Okay. Everything is like pretty recent, I would say, like within the last 5 years.
The only watch I had prior to 2020 was that Breguet and also a Victorinox chronograph that my dad had got me like when I graduated high school. So pretty big spectrum between those two. But I really got into it. Maybe it was not having a lot to do at home during the pandemic, but there was a lot of online shopping going on. And I think a Sinn Pilot watch was my second watch after the Breguet that I got. I had already gotten a few watches before getting this one, but they weren't on that same kind of price scale.
I see. So since you mentioned Sinn, let's talk about that one.
Yeah, this is not that Pilot watch. This is their, I believe is it the U50?
Yeah, I think it's a U50.
With a tegimented steel bracelet, none of which is required for what I use it for. I also am not sure I need the 600 meters of water resistance. It's a really unique, weird looking dive watch. So when I first got into collecting, I really liked the military lens to it. And so I wanted to get watches like pilot watches, field watches, and dive watches. And so kind of like air, land, and sea.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got into a few of these different brands. I'll do the IWC Spitfire next, but that was the pilot watch to kind of go along with this one. And Sinn makes some cool pilot watches. So the Spitfire, I actually haven't worn this as much as I thought I would when I got it. Yeah. For no real reason. I love the colors. I like the history behind like the Spitfire and the fact that IWC made pilots watches for decades. There's actually a lot of color in this watch. There's like the green NATO strap. There's the red that's a Spitfire, the yellow kind of Fotina on the hands and the dial and the white. So there's kind of a lot going on, but to me, it sort of reminds me again of like an aircraft instrument. So that's part of why I got this one.
So what was your fascination with completing the trifecta of like land, air, and sea?
It's always interested me that watches have been used as tool, like Rolex and Omega and Tudor used to be just tool watches used by a lot of military units and would actually be handed out to members. Like I thought that was amazing. I don't have any vintage pieces, but if I did, I would probably consider getting something like a unit watch and putting it in a glass case and just not ever wearing it.
Okay, here's a question. So I do see like Watches of Espionage on the page. They post like unit watches.
Yeah.
I've seen online some discourse from collectors. Do you think it's taboo to collect a unit watch if you were not part of that unit?
I thought about this recently because I didn't have the opportunity to buy one, but when he posted the B2 Spirit stealth bomber unit watch, I was like, okay, if I had the opportunity to buy that, I would buy it. Yeah. I probably just would never wear it, so it would be kind of a waste. And I see both sides of the argument. I don't know that it's taboo to collect them. I just probably wouldn't feel comfortable wearing one out because again, I wasn't in that unit.
Yeah.
But I do think it'd be really cool to have.
But as a collector, you appreciate like the history with the watch and like the people who earned it and that kind of thing too.
I think it would be really cool to have a collection like that of unit watches and maybe donate them to a museum and try to get the backstory behind each one and have it like on a placard or something. That would be really neat, just so more people can enjoy them. And again, like in a case in a collector's house.
That would actually be really cool. Actually, I love that idea. Like someone who focuses on collecting unit watches and then displays them.
Yeah.
That way people, like you just said, people could actually enjoy them. And now it's not so much about like just wanting to have it, but like sharing the history and the stories behind all of the unit watches there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
These other two, I'll stick with the dive watch theme. Well, this one's a Doxa 300 professional. This watch, I'll be honest, just the color got me. And there's something about the way this looks. It's funky. It's very nautical. It looks like you're kind of looking through a porthole in a ship or a submarine or something.
Like the mask.
Yeah, everything about this was just, this is a really unique piece. I've never seen someone wearing a Doxa, and so I had to have this. Goes with nothing. Which means it kind of goes with everything if you just put it on. But
that's what makes it fun, is because this is that kind of watch you can wear, and it's like a fun dive watch. Look at that like bright orange dial, and the dial and the case, like this top part itself, is so much smaller than the actual case of the entire watch.
That's right.
Oh yeah, let's do a little bezel test. Not gonna do this for everyone, but.
So that, I think, that's probably the most unique looking piece I think that I have. I made sure to wear it like to the beach and in the pool just to make sure to, check out the waterproofing as best as I can. But maybe someday I'll go snorkeling or something.
Yeah. So I think snorkeling
take it down to 30 meters.
I think snorkeling is definitely doable.
It's definitely wouldn't even be 30 meters probably. Not for snorkeling. I do have a few micro brands, and Monta. I remember eagerly waiting for this watch to come out because it was the new version of their Oceanking. It's just the bracelet's very comfortable. To me, it's not trying to be anything. It's not really trying to be a sub or something like that. The date window's at the 6 o'clock position, and I like everything about this watch, and I don't usually see a lot of Monta on like friends or people I meet. So I think they're a really cool micro brand. I like that every part of the watch feels very intentionally designed. Just a really cool, pretty classic looking dive watch.
I haven't handled that much Monta before, but yeah, this looks kind of like the standard dive watch you would see. Oh, there's even a great micro, I guess either a diver extension or a micro adjust here, but like it works really well. And the last diver we have here.
Yeah, the Pelagos 39. This took me a while to get my hands on. It's all business. There's no date window. It's all titanium, so it's very light. Works great. I couldn't tell you the accuracy of this movement, but it's great.
I'm pretty sure if this is the master chronometer version, then it's going to be 0 to +5 like Omega's.
Yeah, I've always liked that kind of snowflake looking hour hand on Tudors. It's super light. It can wear with anything. I don't know if it's the 39, but the Pelagos has been used in a lot of military units, so I liked it from that lens as well. Just again, getting into that history of the Tudor brand. Very tool watch looking.
This is 39 millimeter. I actually used to own this watch as well. It actually looks like a 40 millimeter. Like you can't really tell it's a 39 versus a 40.
Yeah.
Really solid dive watch. If you just wanted one dive watch, this could pretty much be it. And you would never really need another watch. The lume is awesome. Blue lume, and also lume all over the bezel. No date window, which I like. The fact that it also comes with a rubber strap, so you have like options to wear it. And then titanium is nice. It makes it lightweight. For all the same reasons, I still recommend this, but for me personally, it just wasn't something that was going to stay in my collection.
I actually don't know if it's pronounced Sangin or Sangin. To me, it looks again like an instrument. The lume is really good. It wears really well on my wrist. A lot of their watches are a little bit bigger, and so this one fits me a little better. And I like the offset.
Oh, the crown is like at 7 o'clock.
That's
or 8
right.
o'clock, yeah.
The one rationale I think is that if you're doing like anything really physically strenuous, this isn't going to be digging into your wrist as much because it's a little offset. You got a little red on the bezel there and a lot of green, and it just looks very, again, utilitarian. And this is a dive watch. This is their Neptune model.
Sangin Neptune. Yeah, technically this could be a left-hand watch because the crown is at 8 o'clock. You could wear it on your right wrist like this, and it still wouldn't really dig into your wrist because the crown is pointed down in this way. That's pretty cool. I've never seen this before.
To round it out with dress watches, these are two watches that I got myself for my promotion late last year. JLC Reverso Moon. You influenced me on this a little bit because you got that Reverso and it looked so fun to be flipping it back and forth.
Yeah.
I also love the texture on the dial. It becomes a completely different watch when you flip it as well. I don't wear it that much. I don't really wear it during the day. It's for special occasions. I just undid the clasp there. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have this one or close to this one, and that's on the original strap.
This is the JLC Reverso Tribute with Moonphase and the date on the front. And on the back has the day-night indicator, which you can set to a separate time zone.
That's probably one of the fancier watches that I have in the collection.
Yeah.
And then this one also, I got this around the same time. So this was a big splurge period for me. Rolex DateJust. This is the 36, and it's in green with the fluted bezel. And this is the only Jubilee bracelet watch that I have. Pretty fancy. Definitely don't wear it every day. I think the 36 for the fluted bezel is the perfect size because it's so flashy. I think getting it in the larger size, like the 41, would have been almost too much. I probably wear this one more than the JLC.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is a great daily watch. anyways, like this works well for most occasions. And I love the green on this one. Very nice, simple. Fluted bezel is amazing. The way it catches the light. 36 millimeter, obviously that would be the size I would choose to, and it fits pretty perfectly on the wrist. This is like classic modern Rolex, where you have the green color, and this is a great choice.
I realized I said before I didn't think I had any other green in the collection. I like that it's that kind of forest green versus the much lighter green on the Grand Seiko. If the JLC is like the fancier piece, this is definitely the flashier piece.
I see.
So I definitely wear this one less, more like an evening watch for me.
Yeah. Last fun question before we close everything out.
Sure.
All right, if you have to make a 3-watch collection, you can only choose 3 of these watches now to keep. Everything else goes. What 3 watches are you keeping? That's
a very difficult question, considering that I already had to make the difficult choice of selecting all of these watches to bring in. But I would say definitely the Breguet Classique. For number 1, because that was my first big watch purchase and what got me into this hobby. I think the white Birch Grand Seiko, there's something about it. It's the nature dial, the cool movement. For the 3rd one, I think I would have to go with the Rolex GMT Coke.
Oh, nice.
So I have one darker face watch in there, some cool splash of color, and so on. I think those would be my 3. With a close follow-up being the silver Snoopy, which is just so neat. I don't wear it enough because I'm so scared to get any kind of mark on it. I don't wear it enough to be my top 3.
Oh, that makes like a nice 3-rounder right there. You got like the Breguet you can wear for the nicer, dressier occasions. The Coke GMT you can use for travel, or you can use it for daily. And it also has like the more water resistance, so it's a watch that is built for that kind of activity. And then you have the Grand Seiko, which could also just be your daily watch. It's just a nice classic like looking 3-hander. But Jack, thank you so much for bringing all your watches with you today. It was really fun to talk about your journey into collecting. Actually, not even that long ago, since it's within the last 5 years, but you've definitely amassed a wide collection of different watches, different dial colors. I can't really pinpoint a singular thing that kind of is a theme, but the theme that I would think about you is that you do love watches with tool watches, instruments, watches with meaning, but you also appreciate watches with craftsmanship, like beauty and dial colors and that kind of sort. But thank you so much again, Jack, for coming on.
Derek, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
If you guys enjoyed a video like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Minutemon, and let me know what was your favorite watch Jack brought with him today. It's been a minute, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.